What's up, everyone? It's Carrie, aka Nerdygirlcreates. It's Otaku Tuesday, and I have some special guests with me today. The one, the only, from Weird Science Comics, Jim. How are you doing,
Hello.
Jim?
Oh, I'm great. Just great. I just want Eric to settle down in the comments. He's got to settle himself down here. Next thing, I'm going to get mad at him for singing songs. I'm going to bail. That's what happens. Eric, you are a bad influence on everybody and causing problems.
Drama starts early. I knew it was going to be like this.
Yes,
I knew it was going to be like this.
But
always
I'm
this way.
Fine. I ended up. I'm very tired, but that usually means good things. Good things to come.
It should be fun because we've got some interesting topics tonight, and you've brought a guest with you, Mr. Jason from also Weird Science. How are you?
I am Jim's +1 tonight. Yes, I am. Yes. My name is Jason. Yeah, I do the Death Note podcast with Jim. I do an X-Men podcast without Jim because he hates the X-Men.
Yep.
But yeah, I do some stuff over there. Yeah. I've watched the show a bunch of times, so yeah, I was happy to hear from Jim that he needed a little pinch hitter. So here I am.
Yeah, because we were going to have Luke Hollywood, who does things with me, but he's Irish, so he's drunk and passed out, I believe. That's what happens, right? Right, Eric? He knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, boy. Well, we got some interesting topics tonight, and I knew that the first one I think, Jim, you might be interested in, because I found it very weird, and it has to do with, I don't know if you're familiar with the manga anime series Blackjack.
Mm-hmm.
It's going on its 50th anniversary, and they're going to release a new manga, and it's going to be written by AI.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's funny because when I first got into anime manga deal, Blackjack was one of the things that I had heard about, and I had checked out at one point. I'm not a real learned guy on it. I didn't read much or watch or whatever with that, but this AI stuff is pretty wacky. I'll say that, number one about the whole deal of it. It just, I don't get it. Have you ever used the AI, especially this chat AI that they're using?
No.
I have. Jason's probably.
Yeah, I've played around with it. Yeah, there's a weird thing where it doesn't really think or understand, but it tries to write something like it adds a new character that it kind of predicts, well, what usually would happen after this character is that character.
Yeah.
And it can do it fast enough and quick enough that it can make sentences that seem real, even if they're not actually based on anything. It is certainly the trendy thing to do. So if you want to get your manga or anime covered by every website in the world, all you need to do is say, you cross off blockchain. It used to be blockchain. Now you cross off blockchain and you write in an AI or chat GPT.
Oh my God, it is some weird science. And the thing is, and Jason's right, because I'll get on and they'll have a bunch of different ones. But what I like to do is I like to pretend that the chat AI is my friend. So I sit there and I'll say hey, chat AI, who's the sexiest guy talking to you right now? And then it won't answer you. It'll say well, I can't really make that assumption. I'm like,
just like in high school.
It is. I'm like, why can't I even pick up chat AI? I'm like, I got nuts and bolts, but I'm the one getting screwed here. So I end up when I'm talking, but Jason's right though, because you'll try to give it okay, hey, chat AI, do a review of this movie and this, and then it'll either come back so generic or it'll just kind of tell you I'm not kind of into that. It's a weird play. And so when I thought of this, I don't, and Jason, you agree with me that it can't be straight up AI. They're going to have
There's got to be some tweaks. It reminded me of it. And Jim, you probably know about this, how David Bowie used to use this lyric writing technique. I think he called it cut-ups. He got it from William S. Burroughs, another kind of weird dude. We were taking an existing text and he'd cut it into little pieces, little scraps of a couple words at a time and mix them up, pull them out of a hat and use that to kind of inspire his lyrics. So it would be to trigger ideas he never would have thought to put together, to be creative in ways that he wouldn't have done intentionally. And I really think that's probably where, I don't know how these guys do it, but I think that's where AI might actually be useful going forward, is just as to, create some possibilities and have a human go in and say, no, that's dumb, that's dumb, that's dumb. But that one might have something to it.
Yeah. It is weird. What? I mean, I'm telling you, Carrie, if you go and check it out, it's so weird because it won't give you anything that you're not going to be able, you're not really leading it by the hand a lot of times is how it always ends up with me.
And like some people I used to know, it's really good at sounding like it's super confident about what it's saying.
Yeah.
So, for instance, there was a lawyer who needed to support an argument in court. So he said, "Hey, ChatGPT or whatever AI he was using, give me some cases where it was ruled that X, Y, or Z happened," because he wanted to cite these cases and say, "Hey, judge, it worked over here. You should rule in my favor." So he got those, and then he did check up on them. And the way he did it was he asked ChatGPT about these cases. He said, "Yeah, ChatGPT, these are real cases, right?" And ChatGPT said, "Oh, absolutely. These are 100% real cases." So he sent them into the judge, and they were not real cases.
They weren't.
It was formatted. It was, this guy versus that guy with the year and however the court numbers. It looked real because ChatGPT is great at making something look real.
Yeah.
But they were not actual cases.
Yeah, it's weird. So I'm wondering how this is going to be. Plus, I mean, ChatGPT, it wouldn't go out on a date with me though. So then I knew it was real.
It has standards,
right?
There
are some like real like text-based ones where you can, and I get on those occasionally when I'm bored, and I turn it into pretty much it's Jim's version of Degrassi. Like I have, like, what do you think Susie's doing tonight? And it will start playing with not this one. This one's a little different. But when you talk about the songs and things, you can go on these and say, "Hey, write me a song that's kind of like John Lennon would have written," and it will pump out stuff. I mean, like Jay said, it is confident with itself, but I don't know. I have a feeling. Well, I have a feeling. I think I know that this is just it's a gimmick, right? It can't be that great, but. Have you, Carrie? Have you seen reaction from people that are just like, "Why are you letting the robots overtake us here?" Like,
I think because I remember a few months back that Kamen Rider manga came out, and a lot of people were like, the translations were so bad, and there was rumors they used something like this or Google Translate in order to do it. That it got to the point the publisher decided to redo the translation.
Yeah, they redid it because it was. I remember you sending that out, and I checked it out. It was bad, but again, a translation issue is one and that's funny actually when you say that. If you ended up having the chat, GP, AI, whatever, maybe that could be something, and translators might be scared, but it might be something down the line that they might use that more for, almost like instant translating and things like that, because it can be useful. I actually saw there's like a way that you can use it, and almost what Jason said, but you can use it and like say, okay, I'm going to use this method of learning. Give me the 5 things like that of the quickest way to learn Japanese, and it'll kind of try to guide you in, but it's not.
I've heard of people using it for language as like a conversational partner. If you don't, if you're a beginner Japanese learner or something, you can't always have somebody who's willing to just be super patient with you and listen to your really bad Japanese all the time. Whereas, especially once this gets linked to speech recognition, which I'm sure is going to happen next Thursday at the way things are going, it's just the thing that AI can do, that a computer can do, is just be super incredibly patient and just deal with someone learning like that. So for that, it could be a really useful tool.
It is used. Ergo.
Just right now, everyone's trying to use it for absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And it's going to take some time before we figure out, it works for this, this, and this, but not that.
Yeah.
It's just, right now, people going crazy.
Ergo Kitty Cat in the comments is actually saying, and it's true, it can't really create anything on its own. And that's what's kind of the weird play of having it do, a blackjack script to go and do it, because of the idea you're going to have to say, okay, well, this scene will be this, and this, and then it'll kind of push it together. But I think that it might actually take longer than what it would just be to kind of come up yourself. But you don't get a hype on everything if you just say we're going to redo, some things or whatnot. So it's weird, but you have to check it out. It is pretty funny if you go and try it out.
Yeah, and also, if I remember correctly, blackjack, because it's been a while, it's a mystery too. So how are they going to? They need guidance for somebody who's human to come up with like the concepts.
Blackjack is an unlicensed doctor who does his deal, right? So well, what the AI will do is it'll start at the end, and then work its way back. It's elementary. It is. Or maybe you just like you put in a lot of Murder, She Wrote into it, and then it'll be like, all right, we'll go with it. And then you'll end up with a mystery. It'll just feel like it's like 20 years past its prime, even more. So with that, so maybe that's how it is. But it would work with Blackjack. It'd be kind of funny.
Maybe I feel a little cynical sometimes too, but if you look at what comes out on an average week from new manga, new anime, a lot of it really is just every other manga and anime cut up and put back together. Oh, it's an isekai, but this time he's a car. Yeah. Right? It's the same. Yeah. Oh, it's a high school romance where she's into darts, but he likes to bowl. How can they ever get along?
And she has a beard.
Will AI really be less creative than all those things?
Yes. Yeah. See, now Murder, She Wrote. I'm in as well. I know Jason would be there. We could have all of them.
I'm more a Columbo man, but okay, I can go along with it.
Maybe Beretta. We'll have it all. But yeah, it's just a weird play though. And I think it's just for the hype. It really is. It's just so that,
And hey, it works. We're talking about it.
Yeah, but Blackjack coming back, wouldn't you think that'd be kind of a big enough news? I would think. Yeah. I mean, it's 50th anniversary, so why mess around like this? Like, if they said that it was going to be something and it was like, okay, we'll do one of those side, like almost have the chat AI, they're the fan, deal doing their fan, kind of their own spin on it. That might be funny, but to have officially as a 50th anniversary is kind of weird.
But then again, it's Japan, so they might think, wouldn't this be cool if we let
that is true.
Write a manga story?
That is true. And then the next thing you know, either the computer is overworked immediately, it ends up or it starts for some reason riding around on a bike in Japan grabbing ladies' butts. This computer is going to do really bad things from what I've heard. What happens over there in Japan?
Gotta be careful what information you feed. It's all about the training set.
That is true.
Exclude certain mangaka from the training set.
That is true.
And you'll be just fine. Schoolgirls will be safe.
Yes. I remember when we first started.
Classroom.
It's crazy. When we first started doing the manga thing, and I was doing it with my man Luke, and I'd say, okay, you want to do that one? You want to review that one? He's like, no, we can't do that. That guy was sus. I'm like, what? He's riding around on his bike, grabbing butts, and like, what is going on over there? Like, what is happening? So there's like 3 or 4 that we couldn't talk about, he said, because of that exact thing. So watch out.
Yeah, and some of them are even in jail right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. But
I guess if you spend most of your life sitting in front of a computer thinking of weird manga plots and drawing pictures, maybe that attracts an unusual kind of mind.
Maybe. I don't
Cause
know.
and effect, who knows?
Or you get extreme health issues, like Oda's now going for surgery for 4 weeks, and One Piece is going to be on hiatus, and there's a bunch of other mangakas who announce, I have cancer, or now I have some heart condition, and you're like...
Yeah, it's bad. And again, is this the idea where people complain like, oh my God, the AI is going to take our jobs? Or are they like, thank God, I
you know what the AI will never complain about? Work-life balance.
Everything.
I mean, Japan's not really into work-life balance to begin with, so AI, they don't care.
Yeah.
So it could be an improvement for Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, it would. And again, all of a sudden, you're going to get every Marvel comic then. For some reason, there's just robots and computers running around eating things and having dinner together.
Ultron,
like, this doesn't work out. It's like
that's the new right. Ultron comes back as the hero.
Yes.
He has a turn. He was really right all along. It was those darn humans who were keeping him down.
And all I want is the names of the authors will just end up being the regular names, but robot in front. Robot Teeny Howard. And that's just Robot Teeny Howard. Here we go. But yeah, that would be. But if that was something that Marvel or DC did right now, I think people would lose their mind. I think that here in the States, people would be just insane about it. But then you would have people that would be like we said, it would be an improvement. At least we'd have that. But then the thing is, too,
I can see a series of variant covers they do made by AI. That could absolutely happen. And they make variant covers for everybody. So why not, the Stable Diffusion and all the other AI art creators? Those were the first things I really played with, where you'd say, okay, you'd name, a certain subject, and you'd name like an artist, like in the style of Picasso or in the style of Jim Lee, and it would draw it, and it wouldn't be great, but you go, hey, that for something that was made in 7 seconds, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's weird. Have you ever done that, Carrie, where you actually do the like picture the AI deal? Because that is wacky sometimes.
It is wacky. I have like an app I use sometimes to create my thumbnail, and they
Okay.
now included it on there, and it's
That's
like
is it PixArt? Is that the one that you use? Because that's what I use, and they have the AI, deal now. But I sit there and I see these things, and like somebody puts in 3 words, and it's like it looks like Picasso came and did something. I go so tech. I get nothing. It looks the worst. Even though at one point, it's never good. But at one point, me and my one son were all night just typing in different variations of Musclehead Jesus playing a guitar, and we were laughing it up with that. But I did just find out Robot Teeny Howard actually blocked me already on Twitter. That actually has already happened. I can't believe it. It's already blockchaining all of us. We're done.
Maybe we can hire AI as the editor for Marvel.
That would be good. And I mean, obviously the AI, and it's going to be one of the big things that is going to go forward with, everybody, with not even just ethics, but the stuff with payment and things like that. And I mean, I'm a huge Beatles fan, and I just saw Paul McCartney just said that they're going to have a new Beatles song that's done with AI. And I've actually listened to some, you could get on now and it's like, okay, and Carrie, you'll like this. It's like New Jeans sings Hey Jude. Like that, they'll combine stuff. Or I actually saw one that it actually had the Beatles AI doing Blackpink songs. And it made me giggle. No. It wasn't the greatest, but it was funny.
Now that should be illegal.
Yeah, this AI.
I'm convinced we need controls, strict controls.
Yeah, so I actually looked and I wanted to get a program that would do the audio AI stuff because I like doing parody songs or whatever. And I thought, screw that, I could actually do it with the voices of the thing. I don't even have to sing those. So I think it's interesting. It's just I don't know. It's not at the stage that it's going to be able to write. A full manga. And I think and again, if they're going to do it, I would wish that if they just go full out 100%, don't fudge it, don't change things up. So then people read it and go, oh my God, this is awesome. This is the greatest. But, do it because it's not going to be the greatest, but it's kind of funny. I don't know. Maybe do the chat GPT to have like the letters page, and it could be like really pissed off and yell at people. That'd be cool too. Like that would be interesting. I'd like
chat GPT comment section.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. But doing a whole manga though, I don't know. I think it's kind of weird. Yeah, it's kind of silly.
And then what happens when it gets
are you going to read it when it comes out? Are you going to check it out?
I'm sure you'll check it out, right?
I'll check it out if it's in English.
I
don't know if that's the thing. It's going to be even weirder when they translate it.
I know. Because then they're translating an AI that made it's going to be a disaster. I think they're just going to have this. It'll come out and then everybody will forget about it. It's probably what will happen, which is a shame because I'm sure there's Blackjack fans that are like, oh my God, the 50th anniversary, let's go. And then next thing you know, well, that didn't work out. We got chat AI doing it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I agree, Ergo.
Yeah. Well, as a joke, my I got to make sure that she's not around. My wife comes running into me the one day. I'm here at the computer. She comes running in, and she's basically yelling like every time it's some sort of deep fake with some world leader like twerking. And she's like, oh, can you believe this? Putin is twerking and he's doing all that bad stuff and he's taking. And I'm like, are you serious? You think that's Putin twerking? Like, that's just him. But it looks like him. And she's so fooled, but so many people would be full out just confused, right? With the whole idea with that AI. That's what the scary part is, that you could end up really like, screwing around with people. Nope, I think we might have a problem with am I still on?
I can hear Jim.
Okay. I can't hear Carrie now. Okay. Playing that thing. She is having issues. I blame Eric is what I blame because, he's always causing problems. He's probably singing and doing something. But, I mean, here's the thing. In the end of it, just to wrap up the AI deal, eventually people are going to have to start worrying about it. People are going to have to really start making some adjustments with stuff with this, because they're going to have people who are, going to get real offended that their jobs are gone from robots. But right now, I don't think that it's fully, there yet.
Here's what I think is the best analogy I can come up with is thinking back to the invention of photography, right? That was a brand new technology that did a lot of things that artists used to do. Right. If you wanted a picture of your family, you had to pay a guy and you had to sit there for a couple hours and he would spend a lot of time. You'd pay a lot of money for him to paint your family.
Plus, and if you wanted your soul.
Yeah.
Is what I...
And once photography was invented, then very quickly that job was not a painter's job anymore.
Yeah.
It didn't mean that painters stopped existing. It probably meant there was fewer jobs for painters, but the things that painters would do would be very different, right? They would go on to things that weren't photorealistic, that was more imaginative. And I don't know exactly how AI is going to change that going forward, but I think it's going to be something of that nature where just these jobs aren't going to go away, but certain parts of that job will no longer be necessary to be done by people, and the people who do it will have the opportunity and requirement to go on and do something else. Still as an artist, but not just exactly how they've been doing it.
Well, and you said, the idea that a lot of the stuff coming out now is just kind of recycled stuff, it seems anyway. And maybe that'll force people to kind of get a little more imaginative themselves, because that's what they can provide. And that'd be cool. That'd be good all around. Not that I'm saying everything's bad or whatnot, but there are a lot of like redos and rehashes, especially, when you end up even on the Viz stuff and the Shonen Jump stuff. There's a very narrow bit of things that they're doing. So if we are going to move over to the announcements, some of these announcements are pretty cool. I was hoping you'd get more, newer things announced and whatnot, but some of the stuff's cool though.
At least it's not a bunch of sequels to Naruto.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, there are, and do you read a lot of the Manga Plus stuff, Carrie, at all? Do you end up reading the Jump Plus stuff?
Not really. Hold on.
Yes.
We're resetting.
All right. Yes.
Okay. No, not as much.
No, I actually, that's some of the stuff that I've actually enjoyed a lot of, and a bunch of these announcements are right on that. The idea of the Jump Plus getting some releases and things like that. When you end up like a lot of people with the shonen stuff and the weekly Shonen Jump, and it does, you have the same things. It kind of can get a little stale, but that Jump Plus, you have the opportunity to really like let stuff go. Like a lot of people were complaining recently of the Shonen Jump stuff. A lot of it would just get canceled. There was a lot of, pretty much U19 stuff. It was getting canceled all over. But the Jump Plus stuff, you actually have in the one, I mean, it's right there. It's one of my favorite books right now is Marriage Toxin. I really, really like that book. It's so good, but not many people are talking about it at all. So hopefully it will end up, getting that. Yeah, have you ever even
until I saw the announcements?
Yeah, it's really good. It's got crazy characters. It ends up having a lot of wacky situations.
Yeah, it's got a Sakamoto Days kind of feel to it, but with the different romance kind of twist on top of it. Yeah, I haven't read as much as Jim has. I've read the first, dozen chapters or so, and yeah, it's a neat idea. And with the website, the web-based manga, they don't have to worry about it all fitting into a physical magazine, right? Where for Shonen Jump, if you want to try something out, it's taking up a very limited amount of page space, and it's got to earn its keep. And if it doesn't earn its keep right away, it's out. Where if it's on the website, they've got a lot of server space over there at Viz Media, so they can give it a little more room to grow, a little more room to find its audience, as we used to say back in TV, back when we all watched TV. And yeah, I think some of these manga are really growing into being something worthwhile, and once it gets out in physical form, I think that'll get more people on board. There's a lot of people out there who won't touch anything digital. They only want to read physical. So here you go.
Yeah, and even there, it is good. And just as a shout out to people, you can read a lot of these that are announced, that you can read them over and over for free on the Manga Plus app, which is great. I think that everybody should check that out. And it's so crazy, the Manga Plus app, that when we talk about it on our regular manga show, I have to actually remind people that I'm not saying something illegal, because it's, you get so much free and you get all of it now. And they even have, like, for limited views, a lot of the current ongoing series as well. But Marriage Toxin, you could read over and over. I suggest checking it out. It's really good. I really do like it.
It's not like K-Manga app.
No, yeah, it's not like that. No, I don't even understand that. It drove me nuts. And I'm even, when Viz had their separate Viz app, that even drove me nuts a little, with my, things that I have saved and my favorites and things like that when we go to use stuff for the shows. I don't love the way that that's set up, but it's still better than the K-Manga nonsense. I actually look at that app, I see that icon on my iPad, and I get angry. I really get, but I won't delete it, because I know that I'll check something out, but yet I still want to delete it. I get mad, I get angry, and get so upset.
Which is surprising, Jim, because you're usually so calm and
I am
so slow to anger
all the time.
It really says something.
I'm like, hey,
I feel like I need to crack a code in order to read a chapter.
I know, I don't understand it. I'm sitting there. I'm like, am I here to do that, or do I have to play Candy Crush to freaking get the next chapter? I sit there and I'm like, I don't get it. Is Tetris going to start getting these coins? All that nonsense. I can't. I know that everybody would say to me too, don't worry, like, that's what all these things do. Like, that's normal now. I'm like, I don't know. I can't even understand it. I don't know what it's even telling me is going on. But I'm an old man. I shake my fist at it.
What I've read is that kind of payment and that kind of system is very common in Japan.
Yeah,
it's what they expect, like microtransactions, the games and things. And what I've been told is that this app is just a direct translation of the Japanese app. They haven't changed anything.
Yeah,
they've just translated it. So they haven't, made any accommodation for the culture here being different, expectations being different. They just spent the smallest possible amount of money and said, hey, if we can get some more cash from this giant continent over there who likes manga, it's
weird.
I mean, lose.
They must not have figured it out. The idea that, at least me, and I think a lot of it, you want to know the subscription, you want to know what you'll get with it, and there you go. You just go for it. And I think that they end up, because Viz and the Shonen Jump app are so cheap, I think it's smoke and mirrors to try to not let you realize right away, like, oh crap, this isn't a real good deal. Like, I'll go over to the Shonen Jump stuff because that's such a great deal. I just don't get it. I really don't. And I don't want to do weird microtransactions just to read the next chapter. I want to, if I'm going to get in, and the reason whole deal I ended up, when I got into manga and I did, subscribe to the Shonen Jump app, was because I was reading Chainsaw Man. I got to the first 3 chapters and I wanted to read more, but I didn't want to get coins for this. I wanted to know that I'm going to zip through this. And I sat there for like a weekend and just went through the whole series because, that's kind of, and anybody that I've talked to, and there hasn't been anybody yet except Doc, who won't listen about going into manga. But most of the people, when they get into it, you get fired up. I mean, people get so fired up and you want to just keep going. Oh my God, there's all these different things. And you want to keep grabbing them, but it's always just a, not even a speed bump. It's like a brick wall for me. If I want to go and continue, I just don't get it. I'm telling you, it doesn't work with my brain.
Yeah, that is the best part about those apps, is the complete absence of any difficulty getting into a book. I mean, you have all these different books out there, and even if it's a genre I'm not particularly interested in, this new high school romance, shoujo, why not? I already paid my $2 or $3 for the month. I may as well get my $3 worth. I'll check it out, and maybe I'll decide I'll love it. So that's why I like it. There is just you can really see the whole breadth of the different kinds of manga out there, which is why the Viz app is great. Shonen Jump obviously is all shonen stuff, where the Viz app gets a little of the shoujo, a little of the seinen, some older stuff, some newer stuff, and there's some good things in there to dig through.
Yeah, But I think that everybody, if you do get the Manga Plus, I do suggest too getting the app as well, not just on the desktop, because you can get
Right.
it just works out a lot better on the app. And Jason's right, because I sit there, I'm like, where's my Love Cafe manga that I so dearly need? And then it comes up, I'm like, yeah, here we go. But yeah, and here's the funny, I say all this. And I could show you right now, if I had my deal and I showed you my tablet, I do have like 7 different K-pop Korean apps that I get on, and I'm there chatting it up with Jisoo and just to let you know, one time,
Reverse.
yeah. At one time, and the way Jisoo did respond to something I said, so I was very excited. My wife was not so excited. She made fun of me, but I was very, very into it.
Hey, Jim, why is that date circled on your calendar? That's not our anniversary.
I was like, oh my goodness gracious.
That's when Jisoo said hi to me.
But a lot of that, I'll get involved in things that have these coin transactions. So maybe it's just that if I get involved in something that I've never done before and it has that, I'm okay, but not with the manga. It just feels
we've been spoiled by Shonen Jump and Viz.
Yeah. But you're also, it's like, do you want to watch an ad before you get to the next chapter? You're like, no.
Yeah. Like, no. That's
and then I go over to like the Marvel Unlimited or the DC, whatever they're calling Infinite these days. Yeah, and I pay one price and get everything. Oh, but it's 6 months old or 3 months old, and I don't want that anymore. I want, if Japan can give me same day publishing and the same app, then DC and Marvel can do that too. So get off, I know Marvel doesn't want to do this. I know that the comic shops are going to be really, really angry when they finally rip the Band-Aid off and put all their new releases, day and date in their apps. But it's got to be there. I mean, it's the 21st century. This is the way it's going, and they may as well get there sooner than later.
Yeah. And me and Carrie have talked about this before, even on the Comic Aficionado show, when we've been on together, about the idea that the, Marvel, DC, the big two especially, they don't even get the idea that a lot of the stuff is given away for free at first for, not free exactly, but a very cheap app, but people will then still buy the physical deal if you release it a certain way, and they won't do it. They just don't get it, and I don't know.
It might like a webtoons thing. They won't even do that.
They
have some stuff. But...
Yeah, exactly. And it's like when I first started reviewing comics back in the day, it was when DC had that digital first stuff, and they had a digital deal every day of the week, 7 days of the week. They had one digital, and they really could have went from that and launched into something even more, but they didn't. They let it fade. That's when Jim Lee must have taken a nap or something at one point, because it all just faded away. I mean, you started getting this canceled, and he's like, "What happened? What? I'm in charge of the whole company? Holy shit! Like, I can't believe it!" Like, all right, he's one of those guys. Like, he just didn't do anything, so he didn't piss anybody off there, I guess. But yeah, it's a shame. But again, some of these Viz announcements are pretty cool if you're into the stuff that, obviously, but it's a lot of the stuff like Marriage Talks, and then in a little bit they even have a couple of other of these Jump Plus stuff that I really do like, and it's cool to get, a physical release or even a digital release of these, so more people can end up, checking them out, because some of them are really good.
I don't know what Eric's talking about Smallville for.
There was a Smallville digital first comic.
Oh, okay.
That actually, and it was one of those too. Like, that's what I kind of like back in the, like, continuing a series that got canceled. A TV series or a movie. That's always awesome, because there's no budget. There's, you just keep going, and that's a cool deal. But again, I don't know. DC always ends up dropping the ball at some point. But yeah, I said I'll keep going. Marriage Talks, and I love. I think that people should check that out.
Oh, right, Marriage Talks, yeah,
Marriage Talks. And then when we get
Viz
going,
releases. That's what we're talking about.
Yes, the Viz release. There's also
we get
Magi Lumiere is awesome. We'll get to that coming up. I'm not actually familiar. I don't know if Jason read the next one up there. I am not familiar with it myself. Have you read it?
No, it just sounds like the anti-Little Mermaid.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't have to give up anything.
Yeah,
like, really. Who wrote this?
It's again, I think there are a bunch of people, when I saw comments at points, people were even saying, like, well, there wasn't that big an announcements, but there's some pretty cool ones. And you go with them. You tell us the deal.
Okay, the next one is Let the Games Begin. Since childhood, I'm not going to say these names, I'm going to butcher it, have played the love game where they try to fluster each other with the simple I love you. But after falling in love for real and refusing to admit it, neither of them can afford to lose something.
So it sounds a whole lot like Kaguya-sama, but probably not as good as that, because that was amazing. Kaguya-sama Love is War? Yeah.
Yeah, it's called I Want to End This Love Game.
Oh. Exactly.
Okay, simple, straight to the point.
Yeah. I've never actually even heard it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I don't have my shoujo girls here tonight, but
yes.
Then you got Junji Ito.
Junji Ito, sure. Got to try to check that out.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Is this short stories again, or is it? Features 9 tales of true unsolved mysteries. Oh, true stories.
Jeez.
Interesting.
No.
I can imagine. This one, Sapphire and Emerald need Ruby to help stop a crisis. Oh, Pokemon Adventures.
Yes, Pokemon Adventures. Yeah, I actually like the original Pokemon Adventures manga. I think it's pretty fun. At one point, we were actually going to do a reading club for that, but they're so quick. I even do the Dragon Ball reading club, and those chapters are sometimes 8 pages long, and it's like, oh crap! Like I'm already done talking about it in 6 minutes, but it is cool.
I was on a read along for Super, and I was like sitting there while everybody was still going, and the timer was only at like 9.
Yeah, like, oh, that's what happens. And you're like, we're already done. But that happens a lot of times. But I mean, Pokemon sells, so it's amazing. Yeah. I remember when my cousins from England, they came to visit America, and I'm telling you, it was so long ago, and they were so into Pokemon, and then my kids got into Pokemon, and then it just keeps pumping it out. There's the Pocket Guide. You keep going with the Pokemons.
I'm telling you, wait, it's not just Pokemon they're going to be milking in here either.
Yeah.
What's next? Oh, this is the one I was talking about. This is the one I was reading on the Viz app. Gakuro.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I ended up reading, I think, the first 3. Didn't they drop like 6 chapters at once when it first ended up? I think I ended up reading the initial drop of those chapters, and then I think that it's now monthly, possibly on the app. I think so I haven't actually read anything since that initial drop, but it was pretty good. I actually liked it enough, and that'll be pretty big, I think.
I think so. You'll probably have an anime and all for this one.
Yeah. It seemed like right away that you could get that, idea.
Yeah, that it does look like it's trying to go for that next big shonen, monster fighting, mystery solving kind of mode, and it was quality art and pretty good writing to start off with, so it's got a shot.
Yes.
Yeah, and I thought the art was really, really good. That's actually why I started reading it and checked it out, because of the art. I thought it was good.
And what's the next one we get here? From Eisner Award winner, brings us a touching new story of inescapable bonds between manga creators, their editors, art, and love itself, as told from the perspective of disgraced manga editor Tokyo these days.
That seems like a very personal story.
Yeah, that's crazy. Was he on a bike going through Tokyo grabbing ass is what I want to know. But it's funny, too, because when I saw this cover, I'm like, is this going to be something that Jason's going to get? Because he's a bird watcher. I thought, oh my goodness, this is what we're getting here.
It's some kind of a finch. I can't tell what kind of finch, but it's definitely a finch. That's all I got.
Pokemon Adventures manga, it is so much fun. It is so much fun. It's one of those, when I first started going, I'm like, okay, well, we might do something like that. I said the chapters are very quick, but there's also 1 trillion of them. And the idea of starting something that it'd be like right now, hey, I'm going to do a read through podcast about One Piece. I'm like, I'm not going to be alive. I'm not going to be alive that long. Yeah, I'm like, I'm telling you,
it's going to have to. As this new podcast will be released hourly, 24 episodes a day,
and still would have to leave it in my will to one of my kids. And like, you will now, and if they want to do that, they definitely would have to stay overnight in a haunted hotel on the weekend, and then they'll get it.
I don't know. Someday, that's one of my. It's like I want to read War and Peace someday, and I want to read like One Piece one day. It's like it's just so intimidating to get started. Like, yes, okay, you got 1,000 chapters ahead of you.
No.
Oh, maybe I'll just try this new one that popped up. This one has 15 chapters. I can get caught up on there.
Yeah, you could. I sit there 15. Like, I'll never get into that. I'm telling you,
I almost didn't do it.
Yeah.
Perch goes, oh, it gets good at chapter 500 something. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I sit there.
I didn't think it took that long to get good, but it was like,
yeah. I have the problem where somebody's like, oh my God, this is so great. It gets good after chapter 3. And I'm like, yeah, that first chapter is like 90 pages.
Is there like an abridged version? Like somebody went through and like, here's all the things you really need to know. Here's instead of 1,000 chapters, here's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody told you what chapters, told you what episodes to skip that are just fillers that have nothing to do with the main story.
Did they call it quarter piece? Because that's what I would call it then.
2 bits.
I need like 16th piece is what I need. I'm like, I'm in now. Like you got 7 you're done. First and last. There we go. But yeah, actually at one point
sit down and tell you.
that would be fun. But yeah, the whole play. I would love to get into something like One Piece. I just know it's not happening.
Well, I like to be caught up with something, right? I like to like be like in like Dawn to Dawn or Chainsaw Man, like 2 current favorites. I'd like to be in that weekly conversation where, what's going to happen? Could it go this way? Could it go that way? Where I'm never going to get there for One Piece. So it's less incentive to want to do it.
So many people just getting into One Piece.
Yeah.
So there's people out there you can have that conversation with. Like my friend
Nick,
find them,
But then it's like, with a Netflix show that drops all at once. Like, what chapter are you on? Don't spoil me. You're up to this one. Where if it's, Chainsaw Man, we're all in the same place because the last chapter just came out. And this week's chapter is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Denji says some very strange things in this chapter.
Weird.
Yeah. It's funny because that kind of comes up a lot of times if like Zeb Wells and Amazing Spider-Man and people are like losing their mind. But if somebody says that people have said to me, well, why not read the classic stuff then? But there is something to getting involved while it's coming out. And I do like that. And I've never had that on some things, especially like, it's never going to happen with One Piece because we're so late, but I don't know. Eventually, I know that I could never catch it. It's impossible. It is literally impossible for me to catch. So it's not even worth. But I did like the first chapter. That's as far as I've gotten. We did a review on it, so that's pretty good. But maybe that's one like to get into the anime would be more of my kind of deal.
Yeah, I'll send you the link of what episodes to skip.
Yeah, do that. That'll be fun. But even then, there's probably just so much. It's crazy.
The anime starts off differently than the manga. Like where the anime starts off where he's already going out to sea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, really? That he's already. Yeah.
And does a flashback or?
Well, it opens
just skips
with
the beginning.
Kid and what motivates him to become a pirate.
Okay.
But they do revisit it later.
Let down the line. And then
it was kind of like weird that they did it that way. But I was like, okay.
I don't mind that they twist and turn it a little. Make it a little bit different, make it so that, because a lot of times they will follow it pretty faithfully of the deal, but I don't mind, changing something like that up a little. But yeah, there's the Chainsaw Man. That was the first thing I ended up just plowing through it. I loved it. I loved it so much. And it is funny. It's one of those things where I was told about, reading even like science fiction novels and things that when you first start, the first couple of things that you read are going to be so fantastic to you because they're so different than anything else. And I kind of get that with manga as well, that people, the first manga they read, they usually get so fired up and everybody, I usually say Chainsaw Man is the one that I recommend a lot to people, but also like a Spy Family. Things like that, or like a My Hero, but even that has so many chapters to go. Like, if you suggest something like a Chainsaw Man or a Spy Family thing, it's at least doable. You can kind of get into that. So I think those are pretty good to start with. I'll tell you, the people that I took to Jujutsu Kaisen is not one of those that people end up being the first thing that they read, and then it's one, I don't know. A lot of people that I've talked to, it's a little bit more of a slow burn for them that they end up getting into it and then kind of get confused, keep going. And it's one of those, I think.
I think it's also better as an anime. I mean, I do collect the
Yeah.
manga and read it, but I think the anime does a better job because the choreography for the fight scenes in that is just amazing.
And
But it,
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of times in the manga, whether this might be sacrilegious, but I do end up having to kind of look at it a little like, okay, what really happened here? What is Itadori doing there? And what is he that it sometimes it'll get a little bit more confusing than I think that it should be, but it's still great though. I mean, it is good. It's obvious, but yeah, it's one of those. It's not my favorite though. It's
I think One Punch Man does a better job with the drawings for the fight scene.
Yeah, and then
Vincent in the chat makes a good point that if you want to get someone into manga and you're thinking, oh, Chainsaw Man, you got to know them pretty well first, right? You got to know that they're okay with certain topics, certain things, where something like Spy Family, it's really an all ages kind of a book. It's, there's a little bit of drinking in it. That's probably the most offensive thing. So yeah, if once you know someone's taste, you can say, oh, you're really into, fighting stuff.
I will tell you though,
then you have a wider availability. But yeah, Spy Family is a really good, usually safe thing to recommend to someone, even if you don't know them all that well.
Well, when Becky starts going on about Berlin in Love, the soap opera, then I start getting a little, it gets a little saucy with that. But no, the thing about every character in that book is so good. It's so great. I just smile, everyone, and Becky's my favorite in the whole deal. She's definitely my favorite, and you go so long in gaps with her but when she comes back, she's just a gem. She's so great. But Anya's meme faces are just fantastic too. I have so many like aside for videos and things when I'm doing them. Just like Anya's like, I'm looking at this, but I don't understand it. She has all these crazy deals, and it is so good. That is so good. Though I did at one point too, if they had a live action movie, I do think Jisoo would have been a great Yor, but nobody. Yeah. I think she would have been good, and people.
She's got acting under her belt now too.
Yeah, so. she's a good actress. She is. Now Jenny, you have told me to avoid Jenny on her deal. Yeah.
Her acting is not bad. It's just how
it's
really
just how
bad. That show is written. Yeah. Like. They had one idea, and then suddenly the Weeknd came in, fired the woman, and I sat there and went, and I think he was jealous of Lily Rose Depp and wanted it to be more about his character.
About him.
Wait, is this a real show, or is this the next arc of Oshi no Ko? It sounds like Oshi no Ko.
Yeah.
Oshi no Ko is not even as graphic as that show.
That's that bit. Oh god.
Oh my God. And it's like not done in a way where you're like, okay, it makes sense for your story. It's just done to be done, and you're like,
really? Yeah, I'll just keep watching Black Pink House. That's what
there you go.
I end up. I have the like
and then she ends up in the MCU.
Yeah, that's the big play. I even told everybody that we have a Slack chat that we're all in talking and stuff like that. I said, everybody, you might as well right now thank me. Because you never would have heard about Jenny or Blackpink if it wasn't for my.
We're in on the ground floor. Thank you, Jenny.
I ended up telling everybody about it. They end up laughing at me. It's like my kids sit there, and I'm in the shower the other day, and I actually had new jeans on, and I'm singing away.
Wait, you were wearing new jeans in the shower? Was it like breaking into denim?
Jeans, yes, I was going. I'm singing it up. I can't speak Korean, so I'm just making up words and doing, but they kind of jump back and forth in it. And my son comes in and he said, Dad, you are the biggest embarrassment that ever lived. And then he stormed out. And I'm in the shower yelling at him.
That's how you know you've won it as a dad. You got to embarrass your kids.
If you were Korean, I started screaming. I actually have told people in chats and even on Twitter that I'm just making the predictions of new jeans taking over the world coming up. They might be dropping it out, but I really think that'll be the big play. So everybody listening, you're on the ground floor as well. So you get, and there's that Coke, They're the Coca-Cola ambassador now. They have all these other songs. Oh my goodness gracious! So
I hear
good.
Bud Light needs a new spokesperson. Maybe they could be in on that.
I'm telling you, then people would really lose it again.
No, let's not do that to them.
Yeah,
they need a new demographic to go to.
Nice
Maybe
girls.
it'll be the new manga beer.
They are nice. They're nice.
Yeah, they are very nice girls. What I do want to again, I don't know why we're new jeansing it up here, but they're going to take, because they all speak English perfectly as well, and that is the key. They can go anywhere. They can do all. That'll be great. Just wait.
It's not like poor BTS where they got Namjoon just doing all
yeah. Harem's like there, and he's like, and it always, I feel bad for him when BTS, because it almost makes it seem like he's like forcing his way, but they don't know what's going on.
And then they try to speak English, and he's like, "Shut up."
Yeah. I just like when somebody could be yelling and J-Hope would just be smiling, shaking his head. Yeah, he's so fun, and he just wants to smile, but they don't know what's going on. See, it's K-pop. I knew we were going to get into it. I knew I would finagle us in.
Well, and speaking of that, Jason, did you know I introduced Jim to a manga about a middle-aged Yakuza guy who's in love with K-pop?
Yep. Nice. And we're going to be doing it.
The Jim Warner story. I think I've read that one. Yeah.
We're going to do it on our Manga Monday podcast either next week or the week after. Nice. It is good. I liked it a lot, and it made me giggle because when I end up reading it, it does. And I watched your review of it, and it really does get the feel of everything. It really works out the way that they do it. It was pretty fun. But
especially with the fan fiction.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's crazy. I even like just the beginning as that fan. Be my big brother. And hey, like, what is he doing? He's so crazy. But the next here looks Splatoon. I think I tried playing Splatoon.
That's like
one
a
time.
Yeah.
It's like
game.
I played it one time and I was terrible at it. So, there you go. But
yeah, well, we're gonna move on for this Splatoon. This one. Status Royal is the game to master. Join the rank of elite players in this competitive world of esports. Follow Vel as her competitive spirit is unlocked. Status Royal was story and art by Rumetsu.
Yeah.
So like Blue Lock, but for video games, I guess.
Probably.
Doesn't really appeal
like
to me.
Every other
so much.
manga and video game. So it's like,
I'm looking at those.
So are they going to get pulled into the video game, or they just play the video game?
Like, are we going to Tron this, or we're going to?
They might. I'm looking at those Larry Bird shorts this guy's wearing. No, there they go, and he's got to look for him. But I don't know. I'm interested to see like the Viz originals. That sounds pretty cool. But yeah, I've never heard of them.
And then we have this one that's slightly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A down-and-out samurai who can't even hold a sword enters a strange world of magic, searching for honor and redemption. Steel of the Celestial Shadows.
The cover does not look what I'd expect from that description. It looks much more like a historical romance kind of a thing.
It doesn't look like Vagabond.
No, I admit when I end up seeing a cover like that, I'm kind of like, I don't think it's for me. It looks a little too fancy. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And it looks like it's like, all right, you're not going to get a lot of action there. You're going to get a lot of looking out windows.
It looks literary. Yeah. It looks like they're going for a literary career.
Or it could be Shizo Ostimi.
Yeah, exactly. So I end up, I'm like, all right, but I'm maybe check it out. I don't know. Down the Night Samurai. We got to see.
On League of Legends esports, guys.
Oh yeah, that's a big game in esports. I've heard, and people talk about playing League. That's all I know is it exists. I have never played it.
I'm telling you, all I know about esports is I hear FaZe Clan. I've seen some of them, and I want to punch everyone right in the face. That's what I know. Because they all
I know there's League of Legends, there's Team Fortress 2, and there's the one where you play soccer, but you're driving cars around hitting the ball with it.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I know from esports.
That was like on the PlayStation Network, I think, at one point. But yeah, that FaZe Clan, I like to phase my fist right into their face. But they ended up, there was a FaZe Clan meets Batman issue that they ended up having for DC, and it might have been the worst possible thing I've ever read in my life, and it's that bad. It is so bad that it's not even like, sometimes it's so bad it's funny. This is so bad that it goes past being funny, and then it's awful again, and then it gets even worse. I mean, it's bad. Yeah, the Face Clan. They like
It's
beat
like
up
reading Megan
Batman.
Fitzmartin.
Yeah, it's so bad. And actually, I believe that it was might have been written by the guy who ended up recently doing the Blue Beetle miniseries, and it was awful. It was really bad. You
Oh,
check it out
gosh.
though if you ever want to have a hoot. I would say, but yeah, that's all I've ever heard. And I don't know. There's another guy that I'd always see him mentioned, and he like. I don't know. He's always got his hair dyed different colors and running around. You know, the guy with the
That's
hair.
narrowing it down, Jim.
The guy has hair. He runs around.
Ninja?
Actually, I think it was Ninja. That's who I'm thinking of. I was actually going to say, am I thinking of Marshmallow? But I wasn't. It was Ninja. But I hear that he's had a falling out or something. People were not down.
Something happened.
Yes.
Is he one of the TikTok things, or
it might have something weird went down. I don't know. Maybe he's just not as popular. But I did know about him.
I'm sure the chat will pop on it.
Yes, exactly. Like Ninja, actually, this. But I don't. What's the next one?
This one's a classic horror manga. It's called My Name is Shingo, and it's being released in the Perfect Edition, so it's probably the omnibuses.
Mm-hmm. This one I'm really interested in. This is an author and a mangaka, Kazuo Umez. I'm sure I'm butchering that name, or something like that. He did Drifting Classroom is what I'm reading now. And yeah, Kitty Cat in the chat is already saying the art looks great, which check out Drifting Classroom. It looks like it's a very old-fashioned, kind of a stiff style, but it reminds me of like lithographs or woodcuts. And there's some really amazing pages in that. So definitely check that out. Yeah, right. Yeah, very. I've heard, now I know that Umez is super popular, like Danataz in the chat is saying. But you know, again, that's why those apps like Viz are so great. I found out this brand new to me author who's been around since the 1950s or 60s, and now I get to go back and read all his old stuff.
Yeah, and it's funny.
I never would have learned until I had. Here I'm in this app. I already paid my $3. This is a cool looking cover. Let me click on that. And 7 hours later, I'm still reading, and the sun's coming up. And I guess I have a new favorite author.
I hope that you're reading more than the one chapter for 7 hours, Jason. I hope you're reading.
Savor the art, Jim.
That's like me. No, I was going to say though, when I ended up in the Viz app, and oh my God. I ended up looking through a bunch of things and then saw you mentioned Drifting Classroom, and I ended up reading that first chapter, and it was really, really good. But that's what, like you said, that is the cool thing about the apps and things like that you discover things like that and, keep going. Like the girl that can't get a girlfriend. I'm looking now. I was trying to figure out all the ones that I ended up reading right away. I was reading some really crazy ones at one point, but.
Was that on the Viz app?
Yeah. But the next one here, this Magie Lumiere, as you go in, is one of my favorites as well. I think
it is a sweet story.
Yeah, it is. It's
nice.
So nice.
This is another one that you could probably recommend to just about anybody, and not worry that they're going to think, "Oh, what's this guy into?"
Yeah, it's you read it, Carrie, but it's really good.
Okay, I gotta check this one out. I haven't read this one. I've been going through the Junji Ito collection on.
This will be a change of pace from that. Yeah.
So that looks really good. I like
and if anybody wants to check it out, again, you can read it free on Manga Plus right now.
This is like magical girls, but in a world where that's a career.
Yeah, it's a career.
So it's the protagonist. She just needs a job, and she ends up working for a magical girl, like a small company. There's the big magical girl, Supercorp, but this is like the little startup that she's working with. And it's just, they contract to do magical girl stuff. And so it's part of, coming of age and going into the workforce and living on your own and making friends as an adult, but also, riding a magical vacuum cleaner around and beating up demons.
Yeah. And it's very wholesome. It's very easy, like
very wholesome
to give, to somebody of any age. It's really good.
That looks really cool. This one is young mecha pilot Tetsuya survives the last great battle against an alien horde. He awakes from his escape pod on Earth 8 years later to a world in ruins and frozen beneath a blanket of ice. Snowball Earth.
Okay. So this seems like a cross between, a mecha thing, but also there's all these stories these days that are, this is what happens after the story ended. Like a free Ren is one of them, or other ones where you've already defeated the demon lord, and here's what happens next. So this looks like it's trying to take that concept and maybe doing that with a mecha book.
Yeah,
could be.
Yeah.
Little post-apocalyptic, maybe.
I think it looks pretty. I mean, how can I say it looks great? You see that cover, but I don't know. I kind of, that's kind of my kind of deal. I might check that out. I might see what's going on with that. Seems interesting enough. But yeah, you end up, you got the snow going, whatever. It looks pretty cool.
Looks like he's got a dinosaur behind him or something, and then the robot.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes. Alien, dinosaur, robot. Probably a little bit of each.
Stuff there. Yeah.
All right, so that one is probably, and then
now we get fancy.
Those are some shoujo eyes on that lady. My gosh.
I know some of the girls who are on my channel were excited about this one.
Really?
Yeah.
The story of Kimi no Todoke continues in the sequel. Okay, so this is a sequel to probably something very popular.
The girl who looked like the character from The Grudge. Everybody was like creeped out by her.
It might be. I'd be creeped out too. That's pretty crazy, but yeah. I don't know anything about this one. Supposedly Viz was.
They were upset about the Magic Girl one because supposedly Viz was adding it to JoJo Beats, even though it's a shonen. Oh, Shoujo Beats.
No. Yeah, it's a shonen, so that that would be the deal. Yeah,
the whole different demographics in Japan, I never quite get, because it's a book focused on a female character, a younger girl, or a newly to the workplace, a post-college girl, but it does have the shonen kind of feel to it. The lots of monster battles, leveling up kind of a idea. So
like Burn the Witch and
yeah.
I don't know if this is a spin-off of that other one, but it doesn't look like the same main character. If this is that sequel to that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask the other girls.
Taking like a side character and giving them their own book, like a Joni Loves Chachi of the manga world.
Yeah, really, I love that.
One Piece.
Yeah, but this time it's being drawn by Bachi, who does Dr. Stone, and it's focusing on.
You can see that style. Yeah. It's a very Dr. Stone style there on the cover.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yep. Again, it's a side character or a not main character getting their own story told, so why not?
And especially like a character that was really like got a large fan base, so they could finally get his own like side story.
Yeah, that cover is awesome.
Eric.
That would be great. They got the band going. They got it all. And
well, they're gonna have an Archie remake on Netflix. Go check that out.
Yeah, and they have that. That's a little on. I just want to know if
isn't there already one on the CW?
Version.
Yeah, it's a different version. Yeah, it's a Bollywood deal.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said I want to see when Jughead starts trying to eat hamburgers and everybody loses their minds. They end up so pissed off at him. Like, you're not going to be able to do that, Jughead. Stop it. But yeah, you could have that. I know that what Eric wants is the manga, and one of the chapters where Fonz goes to jump the buses and ends up going right into Arnold's chicken shack deal, and he's like that. That'd be pretty cool. He's the only one who's joking now.
I think like a One Punch Man style Fonzie story.
That would be cool. I'd go with that.
There's a crossover waiting to happen.
That'd be fun because he'd punch the jukebox and then it would play a song, right? And then die, probably.
Fonzie ate a special fruit, and that's how he can make the machines do what he wants.
Do that.
There you go.
And then he snaps, and three
pirates
come, and the pirates are there and hugging him. All right. That'd be good.
And Luffy's standing there going, "Join my crew."
Just think of, and there's it. Luffy goes up to the mirror. He looks, he sees his hat, and he just, hey, it's all ready. And then he walks away. And it all works out.
all the people under 30 in the audience have just logged on. They have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, they don't even know that Leather Tuscadero was played by Susie Quattro. How could they not know that? I mean, seriously. Who wouldn't know?
Oh, my goodness. Now, another spin-off from One Piece is going to be about Sanji, but it's like 6 original chapters. I don't remember who
I've
the
seen that in the
artist is
Jump
on this.
app when it's come out.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, again, because it's One Piece, I figured I'm not going to understand any of this, so I haven't read it.
It's probably a prequel of him because it looks like he's still with the restaurant. So,
Yeah.
It's a thing where they're doing the Food Wars thing, but with One Piece characters.
He was in Food Wars too. They did they did a Food Wars crossover.
Oh, so it's like crossover this way and then crossover that way, I guess.
Does it get as orgasmic as the Food Wars often gets, or isn't it that?
Well, if you haven't met Sanji yet in One Piece.
Okay, yeah, so it works out, I guess, then.
Yeah, he's the ladies' man.
Okay, he looks it.
Yeah. To the point where it gets annoying with the ladies.
Really?
Yeah. He's gotten beaten up a few times by Nami.
Okay, well, that's cool.
All right. Let's see. What do we got next?
Earthchild. Yes, that was one of Jim's favorites too, wasn't it, Jim?
Yeah,
you love that book.
Here's the thing: when you get these announcements, and we're getting some pretty cool announcements, and then we see that these are the announcements of, this is going to get a digital release. You kind of know that was not great.
This was, how sometimes you can tell when a book's not doing well, and they kind of change what genre it is, and they kind of go in a different direction. Earthchild seemed to do that in the first chapter, which I don't even know how that works, but like, it's going this way. Like, now it's what? And it's a very odd title.
And
it was a superhero type thing. It was like she falls in love. There's a secret group of people who protect the Earth, but he falls in love with one of them. But then there's a death, like a shocking death in the first thing. But there's a kid. But she's going to come back. And it was just I don't know what's going on.
And I think
it was too many ideas in one chapter.
Yeah, it was. And at that point, they had a bunch of new books coming out, and a lot of them failed. A lot of them. You had like Alien Area, I think, was around that same time, and
right.
And there were
this is probably one. This must be a one and only volume for Earthchild, right?
Yeah. It didn't last very long, and then even at that point, like going on, this is why I said a lot of people were getting discouraged with the Shonen Jump stuff because of the idea that they weren't hanging around enough. And then this last round, they're like, we better get some legit things going. And it seems like they did pick it up. But that's why
Earthchild did get 27 chapters. So it will be more than one volume, but not a whole lot.
Yeah. So that's why I ended up really reading a lot of the Jump Plus stuff, because it was given a little more room to breathe and wouldn't get canceled right away. But then you have such classics in Cypher Academy and that nonsense. There's some crazy stuff. That's Cypher Academy.
I mean, that's a tough sell if it's a story based around like Japanese wordplay. And it's just not going to translate. I don't know why they even bother trying to put them to English. Right. It's not going to work.
And then
that's the one where the translator just threw up his hand and said, "Forget it, I can't do it.
I can't do it. This is bullcrap." Yeah.
It's too hard.
Yeah, I mean, even in like regular manga, every once in a while, there's somebody makes a pun, and you can tell the translator is trying really hard to make it work in English, and it doesn't quite work. But when the whole basis of the whole story is, word puzzles and wordplay, it's just not It's just not going to come on over here. Don't waste time translating it. And I'm sure people there are going to love it, but it's not going to work.
Yep, that's the thing. And there's nothing, and I'm just trying to think back at Earthchild. There was just nothing that was even good. Like, the art wasn't even great. It kind of was just mid. It really was. I'm surprised, actually, it lasted that many chapters.
Surprised they're releasing it even in digital.
Yeah, really, because it was, and when it got canceled, got the axe, nobody was really crying about it that I saw. It just kind of disappeared.
Well, that was it for what they have.
All right, that's
nice.
That's a lot of things. Some of them are pretty interesting.
I'm sure there's going to be some big announcements with the San Diego and all.
Yeah.
Because I kind of feel like these weren't like the big deals.
They didn't seem it. I actually was hoping like we were going to get more like anime, like, announcements and things. I really hope they do something like with Akane Banashi. I really like that a lot. And maybe they could do something with that and maybe get some, things going. But now that you mention it, the San Diego is probably what they're waiting to give big things for, right?
Right. And I know they're probably going to push the app, especially with the
Yeah.
announcement about all the price hikes.
Yeah.
Like the physical copies went up like $2 or something.
Really? Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I actually,
But hey,
now that you mentioned it, I thought they were going to kind of talk a little bit about the app or something like that as well, and it didn't really have anything.
well, at least nothing. At least they don't keep things in digital jail like Kodansha.
Yeah. That is true.
Kodansha's got all that. I mean, we finally got Tokyo Revengers released.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually when I looked at the app, and that's always, right up at the number one deal on that, and I was gonna,
That frustrating app.
yeah. Again, I would have actually liked to have gone through a lot of Tokyo Revengers, because everything that I've even watched some of the anime and really liked it as well. I think that's a crazy story.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. I liked some of the anime. That was the anime where it had some odd editing, and it turned out because there's a symbol in Japanese that, perfectly fine symbol in Japanese, but over here in the West, it reminds of as a certain historical European political party that they don't want us reminded of. Like, why are they just showing us a still shot of stars right now? Like,
that's it.
Because one of the gangs, their symbol is,
really
what we would call a swastika.
Yeah.
They just didn't want to show that on
like
Crunchyroll.
a Buddhist symbol in their country.
Right.
Mm-hmm. No, that's crazy.
And it's not exactly the same either. It's like,
but it looks enough.
It's close enough. It's pretty close,
there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some weird editing. Like,
I get that it. I know that the manga and the anime are super popular in Japan. It's a cool, like, time loop back and forth, fix the past, save someone's life concept. So, yeah, I think it would do really well here. So if Kodansha would bring it out, I bet they'd make a lot of money. I always wonder, how much do manga companies care about the Western market?
Yeah.
Right? Do they make any...
Somebody telling me it's like they like it, but I don't know if we're the biggest
seller. But it's like bonus.
We're a bonus. Like, I think even France, they sell more in France. Like, because France gets all the fancy dancy box sets and everything.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I was like,
French people like the fancy.
Yes.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I forget who it was. Somebody that I know actually went on vacation and was in France and like got tons of manga. They like everywhere that you went, it was all over the place. Yeah.
I think there's even like a French animation movie coming out based on anime style.
Really? That's crazy.
Like, wow.
And that's why, like, even that Blitz that I ended up reviewing a bunch of times, that had a little French, like, kind of side deal. It didn't have it, but it did. It was very odd. But, chess playing manga. It was pretty good, though.
Eric's got an interesting question. Does something such as comics broke me in the U.S. have something parallel on manga? Do artists struggle like U.S. ones do? First off, there's a different culture there, especially when it comes to the work ethic. So the thing is, a lot of them work themselves to death.
Yeah,
it's true. You hear a lot of health issues. You hear a lot of like deaths. It's sad, but
isn't there a specific word that just means that person worked himself to death? Like, there's a term for it, and if there's if there's a term for it, that probably means there's too much of it. Yeah, they had to make up a name.
Yeah, it's like the idea in Vietnam where there's like 8 different words for rain because there's so much rain and stuff. But yeah, I mean, Eric, when you think about it, people who are, you have people now, oh my God, I'm an artist and I'm overworked, and yet in Japan in the manga, it's usually a guy doing the art and the writing, and they have a strict deadline. They have assistants and things like that, but the deadline's weekly book, rarely missed.
It does seem like the culture there is very different, and I've never been there, so I'm not going to comment like I'm an authority on it, but it does seem like really, really different expectations of how much work you have to do and what you do when you think you want to have more money.
Right, and they do struggle. I mean, not everybody's going to be Oda or the creator of Sailor Moon. They do struggle with like getting. I would suggest a really good manga series. Eric, if you should read it. It's not a long one. It's called Bakuman.
Bakuman. Yeah.
Yeah, and it focuses on two teenagers who want to break into the manga world, and it dives into exactly the struggle and everything they have to go through. Plus, it parallels like where he goes. One of the characters, his uncle was a mangaka, and you find out like he
Oh yeah,
died.
Yeah, he
that's the
died.
one made by the same guys who did Death Note, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really good series. I
it's
read
really good. It's
That
really
is. It's
good.
really good.
And
Yes, sir.
but
Bakuman.
but like you said, when you go through it, you're like, okay, this is pretty cool. They're living their dream, and then you realize, oh crap, like it's not as great as you think. It's got some issues, and again, like the idea of there's so limited a deal. Like if you want to get, big, you're going to have to really work to the bone. You can't complain, it seems, and it just And if you ruin your chance, you might never get another chance. It's
like 9 months ago, I remember Oda going, he was taking a 2 week break because he finally was going to take a vacation with his family since starting One Piece. And I'm
for
like,
the first time. Yeah.
like,
Yeah, that's the deal. That's crazy. But that's, it's a weird deal. Like you said, it's the culture, but it's also the culture not to complain about it as well. So
right.
it goes back and forth. But a lot of people wouldn't complain about it, but maybe should. It's all crazy, but it is pretty bad. I mean, overall, you get a lot of like I said, a lot of people getting sick or dying, and
Oh my
you
God.
don't need
Like
that.
even, I don't remember what the creator of Berserk died of. I don't know if it was just because he died, but I think he knew he was going to because he left notes and everything for them to finish off the story.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're just going and you're not living a healthy life, you may not die of something that seems to be like, oh, he died of exhaustion. Well, you're still going to have a lot of health problems, and that sucks.
Just like sitting in that office all day, just drawing and writing.
Just going. And again, it's one of the things that we talk about, the idea that that's why, we like manga so much more at times, because it's one specific deal. It's a one vision, but the problem is that also leads to them being way overworked.
And most of them are way more grateful about their fans. Like I was telling Eric last week when he was on the show that Oda likes to do kind of like his own like Stan Lee thing in the back of each manga, and like answer questions from fans, even like the questions that sometimes might not be so nice to him. But he's always so nice, and he'll crack a joke at those people who are like, well, why do you draw girls like that? And they were trying to point out they didn't like the way you draw females. So he goes, well, you first start with an upside down triangle.
That's how he's like, you start at the end and work your way forward. But and when we talked about that, it is amazing how much, like you go through, like on some of our reading clubs, we're doing Demon Slayer. And at this point, how big that was and how huge. I mean, you get that whole, it saved Japan that they're in the shutdown. And yet in these chapters afterwards, not only do you have them say like, oh, thanks, like they apologize for things. I'm so sorry that this was a little bit bad. Yeah. Or like, I know that somebody complained about this one drawing. It was a little bad. Zenitsu looked weird here. So please forgive me. And here's a bonus drawing for you. And you're like, really? Like, and I remember when we're going through My Hero Academia, and it's at the point where they had just announced that the anime was going to happen. And it's like everything's like, thank you, it's all for you guys, and I do this for you guys, and thank you. So like they do legitimately and genuinely seem so happy to have people reading their stuff and not blocking them or yelling at them. And there's no real like a Dan Slott of the manga world. I think you don't have that. So
and if he wasn't popular, and he kind of
he would have been gone. That's how it should be. But and I remember at one point I even tweeted out, like I think it was like Al Ewing blocked me, and I said something like, what's weird? I do manga stuff, and I'm getting like these big, huge mangakas, like they'll thank anybody, like, oh my God, you're doing that. Thank you for checking out my work. And yet everybody else here is just, and I just got attacked by people. I got so attacked by people who are just like, screw you, go read your manga, you jerk. And like, because people react weird when, people who are into Western comics, they seem to get, at points, they get a little testy. if you
Right.
bring up manga because they think it's a threat and things like that.
I know, it's like if I'm on aficionados and they said, "Well, this is why
Yeah.
manga's popular," and then 100 like.
Oh my
comments.
God! It just
Well, what
they'll
about indie
attack you.
comics
Oh,
too?
yeah, yeah. And I even said like manga's kind of my indie comics is how I kind of went with it because I needed something a lot different than just what we get all around. So that's why I went with it.
Omega in the chat brings up Arcane, which is, I haven't seen it, but I'm aware of it. It's an anime that's based on League of Legends, which is what we were talking about way back then. And I remember people were really going crazy about it, saying it was a great story, fantastic animation. But honestly, I saw it was based on League of Legends and kind of said, yeah, I'm not gonna check that one out. With all the great anime out there, and something that I'm trying to catch up on, it doesn't take much for me to say, yeah, that one's probably not for me. So again, that's on my list. I'll get to someday after I finish reading One Piece. But,
yeah, there's so much.
Vincent says he follows one particular mangaka who just retweets a bunch of fan art of a series. He's a smaller guy, but I forget his name at the moment.
I don't know that one offhand, but it certainly sounds like a thing that would happen.
Yeah. I mean, even when they get attacked by people like fans, they're still polite, and I feel bad for them because they're like, "I'm sorry you were disappointed." I'm like, this would never happen in the West.
No, they block them or just berate them.
Or
the worst
back and forth thing.
And again, there's probably a happy medium in there somewhere where you don't have to be completely subservient to your fans, but also don't need to pretend you don't need them. Maybe somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, it's I think cultural too.
Yep.
But we have an interesting top 5.
Okay.
I know I send it to you guys. What we do with the top 5 is we go around, we do one and one, and then we do 2. And today's top 5 is going to be manga titles that would make great band names. I'm going to warn you now, mine mostly sound like rock groups from the 80s.
Mine kind of have
are a lot that would fit there, yeah.
I actually, when I did it, I actually will tell you what type of band that I definitely think that they would fit as well because I got into it. So yeah, I think it'll be, and I have a lot of genres here. So I hope that I impress people here.
Okay, well, Jim, you're up first. So why don't you tell us your first one?
My first one, and I wanted to try, like at first I wanted to go real obscure. I'm like, but screw it. My first one would be kind of like a Wu-Tang Clan type of rap group, and it would be Mob Psycho 100. That would be, I think, would be a really cool.
Yeah, that does sound like a rap collective,
a rap collective. That's what I thought.
Wu-Tang,
like that would be cool. And I'm down with that. So, I would like to be the bad boy of that rap group myself. That I do a little breakdancing and stuff, and probably set like rooms on fire at the hotels, like Donnie
cross off duet with Blackpink.
That is there, but I will possibly have a girl group K-pop band later, so maybe I'll have that. But that's my first one.
All right, Jason, what's your first one?
Okay, well, I think this would be like a very light and fluffy bubblegum pop, high school, middle school girls might really get into. Not super complicated, but just, a fun, hummable kind of a song. And this group is called Candy Flurry.
Ooh.
That would be pretty good.
I like that. That's a good one. Candy Flurry.
You, Jason.
Did I steal yours?
No, I did. I'm telling you, I have some weird ones there.
Because I wrote these down in like 5 minutes, and after you told me I was going to be on this thing.
Exactly. So. I have different ones.
There's a lot of metal bands out there.
There's a lot of that.
I'm not going to name the ones. I could go through like metal band names, but they're probably on other people's lists. Okay, Carrie, I guess you're up then, right?
Yeah, first one is probably like British, either 80s or 90s rock group, Tokyo Aliens.
That would be pretty good. I'd be down with that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I could see that totally like a British like rock group, like a Depeche Mode or something.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because my next one is actually along those lines, but more of like a 70s glam rock band. It's a manga that I've never read. I actually saw this, and it's Space Dandy. It's the name of it. And I thought,
that's like, for me, that's like a British 1960s, early 70s new wave.
It's like early 70s type deal, little psychedelic.
Sure, I can see that for sure.
Like a David Bowie type deal as well. So that is my 70s type glam rock Space Dandy.
I like that one a lot. All right, Jason.
Okay. So I have this one is very specific. It's a Scandinavian folk duo. Okay. Imagine them wearing like their maybe this would be on what is that? The Eurovision. Maybe this is the Eurovision entry from Scandinavia, and it's called Ginka and Luna.
Okay, that is pretty good.
Ginka and Luna. That's an interesting
The recently canceled Ginka and
yeah.
Luna, but don't pronounce the G, it's Luna.
Yes.
Okay. My next one is probably going to be like death metal, Metallica, Megadeth type stuff, and that would be Hell's Paradise.
Nice.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good. And I have that. Do you have it there?
Yes.
I got it. There it is. I actually
Nice.
really like that cover a lot.
It's a really good series, too.
Yeah, it is.
Have you been watching that anime this season?
Yeah, I haven't. I'm not caught up, but I have been watching the anime, and I think like the art is just beautiful. In that.
I watched the first one. The art looks amazing. The story didn't grab me so quickly, but it's one that's on my watching list that I haven't quite caught up on yet.
Yeah, the first like chapter in the manga is just kind of like setting up everything with him, and then once you get into the island, things start to get really good.
Excellent. All
All right, Jim. What's
okay,
up?
now my next one, it is a speed metal band. Probably like, same kind of thing. It's weird that me and you, Carrie, are going almost like that same kind of deal. But it is, and just to explain, before I give you the name, this was a manga that's about a shy young man who meets a race of bloodthirsty dinosaur men and later becomes pregnant by them. And it's called Animal X. And that was my speed metal band, Animal X, I think would be pretty cool.
I like that. Animal X.
My next one, it's like an ambient synth-based kind of a groove electronica kind of a band. It's called Heavenly Delusion.
Ooh. Yes.
Which is probably my favorite anime of this season is Heavenly Delusion.
It's very good. I like that a lot too. All right. My next one could either be like a British boy band or maybe an R&B group. It is Saint Youngmen.
Okay.
Saint Youngmen, sure.
Nice.
I can see that, like, definitely a title of like R&B or like a British boy group.
Well, my next.
By the way, this is hilarious.
Is it good? I've never even read it. I might have to.
It's Jesus Christ and Buddha, like as roommates in modern day Tokyo.
Actually, I'm gonna have to write that down. That sounds pretty good. All right, it down as I get ready to reveal my emo punk pop band from like 2000s deal. It is Science Fell in Love, so I tried to prove it. That would be my deal. I remember at one point, like every band ended up being like, my girlfriend is going to die in a flaming thing and I'm going to do this. Like every band had like a title that lasted so long.
Maybe next week we'll do the light novels as bands so you can get all into that.
Yeah, I could go with all that. But yeah, Science Fell in Love. So I tried to prove it. I thought would be a really good emo pop punk band. So there's my fourth.
Okay, I've got a genre we haven't touched yet. This is punk. This is a hardcore punk. Don't let your parents know you're listening to this. You put it on your jean jacket. You put the safety pin through your ear, and you listen to Scum's Wish.
Ooh, yeah, that sounds pretty.
That is pretty good.
Point for that one.
Yeah,
Scum's Wish.
Scum's Wish.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
All right, my number 4. This is I when I see this title, I always think like a Japanese like punk group who does anime theme songs.
Okay.
And that would be Sakamoto Days.
That was a good. Yeah. I would go with that. I was thinking of I almost was going to go just a band of a bunch of people named Dan, and it was just Dan to Dan. Like that. But
Dan to Dan.
Yes, I was going that. I had an eye kiss, but since I am a big fan of K-pop and girl group K-pop, I figured that my final one is a K-pop girl group. Obviously, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. I figured that would get everybody excited and they'd be gung-ho to hear the next song by I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. It's funny, too, because there were a bunch of things that I'm going through, and a lot of them ended up being more like, ooh, that would be their third album. Like there was a lot of good album names, but Yeah, I want to eat your pancreas, which is, I guess, I don't know. It said that it was actually a translator or made an anime as well. I've never seen it, but there you go.
Okay, my last one is in a long history of like families who make their own bands, and it's a certain sound when people are related, their voices like really mesh well together. Like you got your Beach Boys, you got your Hanson, all that stuff, and this band is called Space Brothers.
That would be pretty good. Can they do a cover of Bop? Yes. Yeah, really. That is true.
We really do need an English license of that. Yeah, Bop. That would be.
That would be great. A little Bop.
And of course, they would sing the theme song, which is one of the best opening theme songs in the history of anime.
Yeah.
There you go.
Feel so moon.
Like an anime Partridge Family.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That'd be great. I mean, the opening of the Partridge Family basically is anime.
Yeah.
It's a little anime about the little birds.
Yep, it is.
It's true. Everybody in the chat's going, huh?
Yeah. Oh, God,
ask your great
grandparents.
Just your grandparents. Okay.
My last one is going to be goth emo, probably even a little death metal, probably opened up from Marilyn Manson.
Nice.
Hellsing.
Yeah, that would be good. I was even like thinking Berserk at one point.
Yeah, they're going to share a bill with Berserk, Black Summoner, Monster. They're all on the
Phantom
the metal tour, the summer festival. Cool. Yeah,
that would be awesome.
There could be so many manga could be at that festival.
There would be so much death metal. It was the idea.
There's another.
Bastard. Yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah, and they have actual they reference metal in the anime.
Yeah.
And Bastard, all the cities and people.
Oh yeah, all the names and bastards are references to things. I watched the first half of the season of the new remake of Bastard, and it was fun, but it was it's one of those shows where you watch a few episodes, you're like, I get it. I think I've gotten what the show is giving to me, and I enjoyed it, but I don't need to watch 24 episodes of it. I think I got what I need. I think
there's moments later when it gets funnier. I'm just surprised it passed the test to get on Netflix.
Yeah.
I was like, my brother's like, they actually let this on Netflix, huh? In Western media on a big platform.
It is like if Tenacious D made an anime, it would be Bastard. That's really the feel I get from it.
And I know the mangaka was a big, huge fan of metal. So that's why he was like, I said, this feels like it looks like a album cover come to life.
Yeah. I as a
and again, one of the best names for a protagonist ever, Dark Schneider.
Yeah,
that is just a wonderful name. Again, for folks like Jim and I who remember 1970s sitcoms,
Schneider.
Dark Schneider is the evil brother of the superintendent from One Day at a Time.
You say that. I was scared shitless about Schneider himself. He's
got keys. He can walk into anybody's apartment. That's sus.
He seemed like he might be a little handsy. I don't know. It worried me. It did. And the funny thing, I say that, and I know what they had that remake. They still might be doing it now, where they rebooted it, and they ended up saying that when they did that, they had to really adjust Schneider because they thought he'd be canceled. I'm like, poor Schneider. He didn't really do anything. He just kind of walked around, and I don't know. It scared me. That and what's his name? The from Good Times, the
Buffalo Butt. Right?
Yeah, Buffalo Butt. Woodman. That guy was.
I remember Buffalo Butt.
Buffalo Butt. Oh, that's the best. Oh, yeah. So walk down memory lane for us. Also, if we were going to have a one bit of a honorable mention, I do want to have the classical band I Am a Cat Barista is what I would also throw in there. That's such a great, that is such a, I actually see, it looks like that cover. Have you read that, Carrie? The I Am a Cat
I know
Barista?
of it. I haven't read it yet.
It looks like the worst version of just cats that they let loose in a cafe, and it looks scary to me. But it
looks like nobody would go into that cafe.
Yeah. Then there's cat massage therapy or something. There's some weird stuff.
Well,
I'm looking at this list, and it's they do. They really do. But yeah. So I would go and I'd buy albums from all these
Bianca.
bands.
Bianca, it's Jim from Weird Science and Jason from Weird
Hello. Yes, that's us. Sus guys who show up and talk nonsense.
We're here on 70 Sitcom Tuesdays.
Yes,
next week, we'll be talking about Three's Company and WKRP.
Three's Company will also talk a little Jeffersons and then go Green Acres. We'll go real far back.
Old school, yeah.
It'll be awesome. The many loves of Dobie Gillis is how we'll finish up there. Speaking of which, though, I did actually watch like 4 episodes of Gilligan's Island last night. I couldn't fall asleep, and I was loving it. I was laughing. My wife was yelling
was
at
it any
me.
of the ones with the Globetrotters on it? Because those are the best.
They did not. But two of them actually did have the headhunter natives from the other island or the other side of the island.
Can't have that anymore.
Always wanting to marry Gilligan. It's always the case. I'm like, look at this guy. He's such a catch. There you go. See, that's what happens when you ask who we are.
Oh, well, that was fun. We came up with really good ones of those band names.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a good time.
And I hope we get more interesting announcements coming up with the big cons, because this one was okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I the things that I'm interested, I've already read. Like the idea of, Maggie Lumiere getting a deal or Marriage Tux, and I've already read. And again, I said that I give a lot of people credit when they end up reading the digital, and then they will get the, physical just to support everyone. I'm not a Rockefeller, so, money's tight here. I got 5 kids, but, and even that, I try to get them involved, and they want no parts of that either. They're always yelling. How crazy
I can see Maggie Lumiere catching on. I mean, it could be it's a one that if you have like a kid, particularly a younger girl, but not just that, who might be interested in manga, it'd be a great title to start them off on. It's a fun time, and it's positive, but it's not preachy. It's just a good, wholesome, monster killing.
Marriage Tux, not so much. That's got a little crazy things involved with that.
Yeah,
but,
that's got a little poison, assassin,
things.
gender bending.
Bending,
You'll get some questions. I'm just saying. If you hand that to your kids, and if you want to answer those questions, that's fine. But just know you'll get questions.
Yeah. Yep.
This reminds me of that, what was a TikTok video of the kid with his dad shopping in Barnes & Noble, and he grabs the Berserk and goes, "Dad, this," and Dad goes,
"That's not happening."
That's another manga where I'm going to get to it someday, and I've read the first chapter, at least the first couple pages, and go, oh, that's how you start off, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I see where we're going. I see where we're going.
Twitter just loves
maybe
Berserk.
tomorrow.
Yeah, they love it. Goodness gracious. That's another one. If you go and look at that first chapter, it's like 102 pages. I'm like, holy moon, what's going on here?
That's why I just get the omnibuses and do it.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go with that.
It's like revisiting Trigun. I'm going to do the same thing when they start dropping them.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, certain ones you have to just get like the big.
Yeah, you just go for it.
Or
There's
do the
no
digital.
Reason there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not going to pay Dark Horse for digital Berserk chapters. So.
Yeah. It's funny. I end up seeing, because I get the review copies from Dark Horse, and but it's so late in the game that they'll end up sending some of that out as a review copy, but it's got a big watermark on it and stuff like that, and that really doesn't work well with a black and white deal. You can't even see what's going on.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm really happy that you came on tonight. This was a lot of fun. I do want you back again in the future.
That'd be cool.
Thank you for having me. That was a very nice surprise that Jim and I were just recording our Death Note podcast. Not that I'm plugging or anything.
Oh, my.
Go for it, because I was going to ask you that next.
Pretty smooth. Yeah. So, we're up to a pretty exciting part of that manga. It's kind of fun because I know it's an older manga. It's been out forever, but I haven't read it yet. So I am reading it chapter by chapter in real time. And I'm speculating what might come next. So if you've read it already and you want to hear some dummy predict things that are absolutely not going to happen, please come on and listen to our Death Note reading club.
It comes out
It's
every
such a good
Saturday.
series.
So, yeah, it is so good. You realize when you're reading it, like, okay, this is why it was so popular. It's so
Yeah,
good.
we're up to the later 30s, like 37,
Yep.
36. I'm not sure what the last one that came out was. So
Yep. Yeah.
right in there.
Yep.
What would you think the genre would be for Death
Let's
Note?
see.
Stan?
Yeah, well, it's
Psychological
supernatural,
horror.
psychological mystery. Yeah, it's matching wits kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say for kids at all.
No. Now then they get weird ideas. If you end up having them watch and you see them, they're like walking around with some black notebook. You got to watch it. And then just
looking at you when you said no,
exactly.
You can't have that.
And the funny play is, even if it doesn't work, you're going to be sad when you look in there and there's so many things. Dad dies of a heart attack.
And
Dad,
we did find out that there is a Death Note the musical. It originally came out in Japan, written by an American Broadway writer who's apparently he's also done My Lie in April and some other really popular mangas as musicals. But it is available in English, and if you go to YouTube and search Death Note the musical, you can get all the songs. Yep. If you're curious what a Broadway version of Death Note would be, it's been out there, and you can listen to it. It's kind of really something.
Well, Bianca, you should join the listen along with the podcast.
Please do, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're already like Jason said. I think we just recorded chapter 37 today.
And it is a manga of a reasonable size. I think it's 108 chapters total. So it's a finite story. It's going to have a beginning and an end. And we're like a third of the way through already. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, we're going through.
I can't wait to get to the end.
Yeah. It's funny because today we were about to record and I ended up going through and I'm reading it on the app and there was a page that was actually just a black page. It was weird. I didn't understand. I'm like, what's going on? I think something went wrong. So I went to look up, see if there's something missing, but I ended up accidentally putting in 57 or 58 instead of 30. And it must be a really huge chapter. Like things were popping up all over.
It's hard to dodge spoilers for one of the most popular manga ever that's been out for so many years. You can't blame somebody for spoiling Death Note.
I'm telling you, no.
I'm trying to dodge them, but
we're trying to. And
I'm
telling you, I type it in, and the first thing that pops up are like the list of top chapters that blew my mind. I'm like, oh my god, it's not even the one I'm trying to get to.
Start Googling a character's name, and it says dies in chapter, dies this way, killed by.
Crap. That's what happens to me because in our other stuff that I do end up doing a Walking Dead comics podcast that we're going through each one, and we're at like 50 to 6, and you can easily get those spoiled too of who dies. But then again, at the end, it's like everybody dies. So what the heck? Everybody's going to end up dead eventually. But yeah, I try to avoid the spoilers.
So there's that Jim and I do. Yeah. And while I'm plugging, I'm also going to plug the X-Men show that I do with our buddy Ruben. So we do the current week by week. We talk about the X-Men comics that come out. We don't talk about all the series because some of them are not so good. So usually we'll do at least the first issue of every series to check it out. And if it seems like it's important or it seems like we're having a good time, we'll keep doing it. So last week we actually talked about 6 issues because it was a big week, and we're kind of enjoying the Kieran Gillen experience. So anything he's working on, the Al Ewing stuff that he's doing in X-Men Red, we really like the Sins of Sinister that happened. So if you reading along with any of the X-Men stuff and you're curious what's happening in maybe some books you're not reading, on the Weird Science Marvel RSS feed or podcast feed, we do the Weird Dose of X every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
Nice.
Except maybe this Tuesday. It's getting very late. But
Jim's got to edit.
I still have to edit an hour and a half podcast with that. But just to plug this, I hate plugging things. But here we go. I got to take a deep breath. We have a bunch of manga reading club podcasts. We have a Spy Family manga reading club podcast, a My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man, the one I do, Death Note with Jason, and I do a Dragon Ball one as well. Each one comes out on a different day of the week. And all you have to do, look up Weird Science Manga. You'll find that. We also have a Manga Monday show. Obviously, it comes out every Monday where we go through a chapter of a deal. That's where we're going to end up doing the Yakuza's bias that you end up having, Carrie. And we ended up even doing the Go-Go Loser Ranger after I saw the review that you did as well. So basically, whatever Carrie does, we do like 2 weeks later to catch it up. But also have a DC Comics podcast that comes out every Sunday night on our regular feed. And I have on our manga, our Marvel deal, Star Wars deal, the stuff that's coming out from Marvel as well, and then a bunch of other stuff in the YouTube channel that I just kind of started getting more into with that. It's just Weird Science Comics, and I think that I'm going to start putting a lot more of the manga stuff up there. It's one of those, I put the manga stuff up, and sometimes sometimes it does really well, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm just going to put it up anyway. But sometimes I get yelled at about, that, and you know how it is. But so just check out all that nonsense.
And to answer myself in comics there, yes, we did do both the Sabretooth series that came out. They weren't our favorites, but we found things to like in them. We liked some of the questions that were asked, if not so much how they were answered. And I'm sure we'll talk about I think there's going to be a third Sabretooth mini to finish up that little story. So we will talk about it. And if you want to hear us talk about it, please come on by.
Nice. And everybody's links, I have the Weird Science link down below, so please check that out. Speaking of Spy Family, this Friday I will be interviewing a big Spy Family fan, Tim Lim, and his co-writer Mark Pellegrini about Common America, so stay tuned for that.
Nice.
We'll be doing a lot more indie comic interviews because I want to do more showcase on different people. And of course, every Monday is Manga Monday, my own Manga Monday. And Tuesdays, Otaku Tuesdays. And I'm sure we'll have Jim and Jason back on since they're big, huge manga fans as well. And it's been fun, guys.
Thank you.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you again. Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Thank you.